All right, so today we're going on a deep dive into these motivational stories.
Okay.
But with a twist.
Okay.
We're not just going to like rehash those like feel-good things you've probably heard before.
Yeah.
We're going deeper
Okay.
to find some surprising connections to common English expressions.
I like it.
And most importantly, see how this applies to your life.
Yeah.
Our source material is Motivational Stories, English Expressions.
That's cool.
It's got everything.
Right.
From elephants to starfish,
Yeah.
even a super tall bamboo tree.
I love it when they've got a wide variety like that.
Yeah.
What I find fascinating is that these stories, while they're often presented as like simple life lessons, they actually like tap into some pretty deep psychological principles.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
For example, the first story,
Okay.
the elephant and the rope.
Mm-hmm.
I always found it so bizarre.
Okay.
Why wouldn't a huge, powerful elephant just walk away from a tiny rope?
Yeah, it seems counterintuitive, right?
Totally.
But it all comes down to learned helplessness. So when those elephants were babies,
Right.
they were tied with those same ropes.
Mm-hmm.
And at that age, they couldn't break free.
Right.
So they learned to accept their limitation,
Wow.
even though as adults, the rope poses no real physical barrier.
So it's like their minds are still trapped, even though their bodies could easily break free.
Precisely.
Wow.
And the fascinating thing is,
Yeah.
this principle of learned helplessness applies to us humans as well.
Oh, interesting.
We often carry around these invisible ropes from our past experiences, things that make us doubt our abilities or hold us back from reaching our full potential.
You know, I've definitely felt that in my own life.
Yeah.
There have been times when I've given up on things without even really trying,
Yeah.
simply because I had failed in the past.
Right.
It makes you wonder, what are some ropes I might still be holding on to without realizing it?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah, and how do I break free from them?
Becoming aware of those limiting beliefs is the first step.
Okay.
Once you identify them, you can start to challenge them.
Ask yourself, is this belief based on reality, or is it just a leftover from a past experience?
Interesting.
The expression break free from limitations takes on a whole new meaning when you view it through this lens.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of limitations, the next story kind of flips that concept on its head.
Okay.
It's the starfish story, and it's all about making a difference even when the task seems impossible.
Right.
It's the one with the boy on the beach, right?
Yes, the one where it seems like his efforts are futile,
Right.
given the sheer scale of the problem.
Yeah.
Thousands of starfish stranded on the sand, and he's just one kid.
It's crazy.
This story really gets to the heart of why people sometimes hesitate to take action.
Yeah, it's easy to feel like your efforts don't matter,
Right.
especially when faced with massive problems,
Yeah.
whether it's climate change or social injustice.
Yeah.
But the boy's response to the man who questions him is so powerful.
Yeah. What does he say?
He says, it made a difference to that one. That simple statement highlights a crucial point.
What's that?
Impact isn't always about scale.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes the most meaningful actions are the ones that directly affect an individual. It's a beautiful illustration of what it truly means to make a difference.
I remember this one time I was walking home and saw an elderly woman struggling to carry her groceries.
Oh, wow.
Wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
I just helped her carry them a couple of blocks.
Mm-hmm.
But the look on her face,
Yeah,
it really made me feel like I had made a difference in that moment.
absolutely.
Have you ever experienced something like that?
Absolutely. I think we all have those moments where a small act of kindness creates a ripple effect,
All right.
spreading outwards in ways we might not even realize.
Yeah.
And that's what this story reminds us. Never underestimate the power of even the smallest actions.
It makes me think about how often we get caught up in the bigness of things like we need to solve all the world's problems at once.
Right.
But maybe real change starts with those small individual acts of caring.
Perhaps that's a good place to transition to our next story,
Okay.
which reminds us that sometimes the most impactful changes take time and patience.
Right.
The bamboo tree, have you heard this one?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
The one that takes years to show any growth above ground.
Right.
It seems like nothing's happening,
Yeah,
but beneath the surface, something amazing is going on.
exactly. For the first 4 years, the farmer sees no outward sign of progress,
Right.
which could easily lead to discouragement.
Yeah. For sure.
But all the while, the bamboo is developing an extensive root system, laying the foundation for its eventual growth spurt.
It's almost like a secret hidden world beneath our feet. We see the bamboo shoot up seemingly overnight and think it's a miracle. But it's really the result of years of unseen work.
And that's what the expression patience is a virtue is all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just about waiting passively.
Okay.
It's about understanding that sometimes the most important growth happens beneath the surface in ways that might not be immediately visible.
I think a lot of us can relate to that, especially when it comes to personal goals.
Yeah.
I know I've been guilty of giving up on things too soon, just because I didn't see results right away.
Right?
But maybe I need to shift my perspective and focus on building those strong roots, even if it takes time. What about you? Have you ever experienced that feeling of working hard on something without seeing immediate results?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I think it's something we all encounter in various aspects of our lives.
Yeah.
Whether it's learning a new skill, building relationships, or even working towards societal change.
Right.
The journey is rarely linear.
For sure.
There are often periods of slow, unseen growth that are essential for eventual success.
So it's like we need to trust the process,
Yeah,
even when we can't see the progress.
precisely. The bamboo tree teaches us that patience isn't just about waiting, it's about having faith in the unseen forces at work.
Okay.
Knowing that all those small, consistent efforts are building towards something bigger.
It's a good reminder that sometimes the most important growth happens in the quiet moments,
Yeah,
when we're diligently working away without any fanfare or external validation.
right.
Speaking of unseen forces, our next story takes us into the realm of thoughts and how they shape our reality. The two wolves. This one always gives me chills.
Oh yeah, it's a powerful metaphor, isn't it? The two wolves,
Yeah,
one representing good, the other representing bad, battling within us.
yeah.
It really captures that internal struggle we all experience between our positive and negative thoughts.
And the idea that the wolf you feed wins.
Right.
That's both terrifying and empowering at the same time.
Yeah.
It means we have a choice in what we cultivate within ourselves.
Exactly. And it's not just about suppressing negative thoughts. It's
it is.
about actively nurturing positive ones. The expression feed your mind takes on a whole new dimension when you think about it in this context. It's like we're choosing what to nourish our minds with, just like we choose what to nourish our bodies with.
So it's not enough to just avoid negative influences.
Right.
We also need to actively seek out positive ones.
Precisely. And this connects to some fascinating cognitive biases
Yeah.
that influence how we perceive the world. For example, confirmation bias. Our tendency to seek out information that confirms our existing beliefs
Right.
can make it easy to get stuck in negative thought patterns.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah,
I know I've definitely fallen into that trap before scrolling through social media
yeah,
and only paying attention to posts that reinforce my negativity.
right.
It's like I'm selectively feeling that negative wolf without even realizing it.
And then there's negativity bias.
Okay.
The tendency for negative events to have a greater impact on us than positive ones. This can make it seem like the negative wolf is always stronger, even when it's not.
So what can we do to combat these biases and make sure we're feeding the right wolf?
It's about being mindful of our thought patterns and making conscious choices about what we consume, both mentally and emotionally.
Right.
Surrounding ourselves with positive influences, whether it's through books, podcasts, nature, or supportive relationships,
Yeah.
can help us cultivate a more positive inner landscape.
It's like we need to be curators of our own mental diet.
Exactly. Choosing to focus on gratitude, practicing mindfulness, and engaging in activities that bring us joy.
Right.
These are all ways to feed the positive wolf and strengthen its influence in our lives.
All right, so we've talked about breaking free from limitations, making a difference even when it seems impossible, and cultivating patience. Now, our final story takes us on a journey of persistence.
Okay.
It's the stonecutter, the one who keeps hitting that rock over and over again.
This one always reminds me that success often isn't about some grand sweeping gesture,
Right.
but rather the culmination of all those small, consistent efforts we make day after day.
It's easy to get discouraged when we don't see immediate results, but the stonecutter just keeps going even when it seems like the rock will never break. And then on that 100th blow, something magical happens.
It's a beautiful illustration of the power of persistence, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the expression keep chipping away becomes more than just a saying.
Right.
It becomes a mantra for anyone pursuing a challenging goal.
I think this story resonates with anyone who's ever tried to achieve something meaningful.
For sure.
Whether it's writing a book, starting a business, learning a new skill, or even just overcoming a personal challenge. There are always going to be moments when you want to give up.
Absolutely. And that's where the stonecutter story comes in.
Okay.
It reminds us that those moments of doubt are inevitable.
Right.
But it's our ability to keep going, to keep putting in the effort that ultimately determines our success.
It's almost like each blow of the hammer represents a small step towards our goal.
Yeah.
And even though we might not see the crack forming at first,
Right.
we have to trust that each strike is bringing us closer to that breakthrough.
And sometimes it's that very last blow.
Yeah.
The one we're about to give up on that finally splits the rock in two.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's a reminder to never underestimate the power of one more effort, one more try.
Exactly. The stonecutter story encourages us to embrace the process, to find joy in the journey itself, knowing that even the smallest actions can lead to extraordinary results if we just keep chipping away.
It's amazing how these stories, even though they're about elephants and starfish and bamboo trees, they're really all about us.
Yeah, it's like
They're reflecting back these like universal truths about human nature and the challenges we all face.
It's like they're holding up a mirror
Yeah.
to our own experiences, helping us see ourselves and our potential in a new light. And what's particularly striking is that they all highlight the power of perspective.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Like the elephant was limited by its belief, not the actual rope.
Right.
The boy chose to focus on the one starfish he could help, rather than getting overwhelmed by the vastness of the problem.
Exactly.
And the farmer, well, he had to trust that something was happening beneath the surface even when he couldn't see it.
Exactly. Each story encourages us to shift our viewpoint,
Okay.
to challenge our assumptions, and to see possibilities where we might have seen limitations before.
Right.
And by connecting these stories to everyday expressions, it's like we're embedding those empowering messages deeper into our understanding.
It's like those expressions become more than just words.
Right.
They become tools for navigating life's challenges.
Precisely. So the next time you find yourself feeling stuck or trapped by circumstances, remember the elephant
Okay.
and ask yourself, what rope am I holding on to that might not even be real?
And if you're feeling overwhelmed by the world's problems, think of the boy on the beach.
Yeah.
And remember that even small acts of kindness can create ripples of positive change.
When you're working towards a goal and the progress seems slow, channel the bamboo tree and trust that growth often happens in unseen ways.
If you find yourself caught in a spiral of negative thoughts, recall the two wolves
Right.
and make a conscious choice to feed the positive one.
And when you're facing a challenge that seems insurmountable, think of the stonecutter.
Okay.
And remember that persistence, that willingness to keep chipping away is often the key to breakthrough.
These stories and expressions aren't just feel-good tales.
Right.
They're practical guides for living a more empowered and fulfilling life.
It's been a fascinating journey exploring these stories and the wisdom they contain.
It really has.
But as you go back out into the world, remember that the real power lies within you.
You have the ability to choose your perspective, to make a difference, to cultivate patience, and to achieve anything you set your mind to.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we invite you to reflect on which story resonated with you the most and why. What insights did you gain? And how can you apply these lessons to your own life?
What wolf will you feed today?
Yeah.
What limitations will you break free from? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.